I don't need redemption. I'm just living the life that I can every day. You know, I'm doing the best I can, and so are you, and so is everybody. Like, it's not about redemption and, you know.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's a lovely night here in Vegas. We're here with Breezy. How you doing, Breezy?
I'm doing good, doing well.
You're doing well. Breezy is originally from North Carolina, and she was a counselor at one point, a substance abuse counselor, correct?
Yes, I was a counselor.
Yes, we're gonna get all into that and how she got into counseling, and then how she got out, and also how she's gonna redeem herself. All right, first of all, do you give us permission to use this video on our YouTube channel
I do.
and other social media? You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
All right, great, Breezy. Let's take it to the beginning. Where were you born?
Bristol, Tennessee.
Bristol, Tennessee. Why'd you move to North Carolina?
My father was a coal miner in Southwest Virginia, which is right by Bristol, and coal mines, they all went down. Mining went under. It's not an industry anymore. So my dad became an electrical instructor at a textile community college in North Carolina. So we moved there for my dad's job after the mines went under.
Okay, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 45 years old.
You look really young.
Thank you.
You're healthy. You eat well out here? Drink a lot of water?
Actually, I do. I
Yeah.
do.
Do you try to live a healthy life?
I do. That was instilled in me by my father.
Oh, was he a health?
Now, that's not to say, let me just make clear that that's not to say that I live by that fully or even partially sometimes, but I do know how. And as of late, I have been trying to be more healthy.
Okay. Where'd you go to high school?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah. Which high school was that?
Harding High School, the year it became a magnet school.
Yeah. Did you graduate?
I did graduate, but not from Harding. I went to a degree completion program at the community college and graduated a little bit early because I got pregnant with my son.
Okay. Both parents were in a home growing up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mother was a nurse, father was a coal miner, teacher, among others.
Are they still alive?
My mom died a year ago, like last week.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
And your dad?
My dad is very much alive, 72, living in North Carolina, and probably healthier than the whole family.
You still talk to him?
Yeah, almost every day.
Yeah. What's your message to your dad?
I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything.
How'd you end up in Vegas?
Well, I came this time because I'd been here before, but so when I took my first road trip across the country, I was going to Mount Shasta, but we passed through Vegas on the way there and on the way back. And when we came on the way back, we stayed.
You stayed?
Yeah.
Who'd you come with?
I came with my dog and my best friend at the time, Zachary.
Okay. Where's Zachary now?
He's in Vegas.
Now, are you currently homeless?
I mean, it depends on your definition of homeless. Do I have a place to sleep at night? Yeah. Is it the same place every night? No.
Okay. All right. I want to now hear how you became a substance abuse counselor. What did you get into? What kind of drugs? And then how you became a substance abuse counselor?
So, I started smoking crack in 2000. I'm gonna say, like 2002 or 2003, with my mom when my ex-husband and I separated, and that addiction was horrible and lasted about 5 years. But when I got clean, I went to college and became a counselor. I got my associates and then my bachelor's, and started working on a master's degree. I didn't finish that because I actually started doing a different type of work after that.
Congratulations. When you were doing crack, were you like on the streets?
Yes, and when at that time, I was on the streets, like homeless on the streets. Never even thought about like it was never a concern where I would sleep that night. It was not even important at that time, so it was bad.
Yeah.
Real bad. I saw people transform mostly due to drug use right in front of my eyes into someone that I knew would like hurt me. And I don't think that's the kind of fear that I ever felt before I did drugs, or that I never encountered people that did that prior to that.
Okay. What did you do for money? How did you make money in those days?
In those days, I walked the streets.
You walked the streets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had any bad experiences there?
I'm going to tell you, I've been surprisingly lucky. A few of those rough experiences that I just talked about were from that. But in the grand scheme of things, I've never even so much as been like stricken. I've had someone say they were going to hit me or do something to me, but they never did. So like I've been intimidated, but I've never been physically harmed. I feel very lucky. I really do. I feel very lucky that I've never actually been hurt.
Well, I'm happy you're here. So, sorry, can I go back a little bit? When you're in school, do you remember a teacher that motivated you, or you had a positive experience interacting with?
Yeah, I have a couple teachers that, like, well, so I played the cello all through school up until I graduated, and I had my orchestra instructor was very influential in my life. He believed in me, and I think maybe my first big disappointment was, like, he was my orchestra instructor in middle school, and when I went to high school, he just so happened to transfer to my high school. And that's when I started messing up, was when I was in high school. And so part of what I messed up at the time was stuff to do with my music, like not making a test or something. And I could see the disappointment in his face. Like, he was disappointed. He never expected that from me. And I don't even think I ever saw that in my parents' face. And that kind of messed with me hard.
Yeah.
So. Mr. Myers, Bill Myers.
You know if he's still alive?
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind he is.
And did you work after you graduated? Did you work as a career before your counseling?
So before crack, before drugs, I was more or less a restaurant manager. I worked in Charlotte at a barbecue restaurant, and the guys that owned that owned about six of them. And I worked probably over a long period of time. I worked in all of them and managed 2 of them.
Yeah.
But that was all pre-hard drugs.
Why do you think you got into hard drugs?
It's like nurture and nature. Part of it was, I do think some of us are genetically more predisposed to use drugs, but I think, and I don't think that many would disagree with me, that when you use drugs, people that use drugs have had an unresolved childhood trauma. There's a traumatic occurrence in the person's life, and any addict can tell you what it is. If you just start asking them that question, they're going to tell you what their trauma is, because that's why we use drugs. It creates a space in us that the other people don't have. The trauma does, like a crack. And one of the things that, for whatever reason, fills that in is drug use.
What was your trauma, if you don't mind talking about it?
I mean, there was a lot.
Yeah.
There was the most prominent one was my abandonment trauma from my mother, because she was on drugs. And, looking at me, you're basically looking at her. And so, but even though I understand it and I'm not mad at her anymore, that creates trauma, because kids need to know what to expect all the time. And when they can't, it's traumatic. And so it was that. And then I had some sexual abuse from a cousin. And
how old was he?
That's the thing. He was 15 years old, so he wasn't an adult. And I find myself just being maybe a little more forgiving, because he was a kid too, and was he being a pervert, or was he just in his mind experimenting? Did he understand, you know what I'm saying? So I'm almost thankful for that, because it feels a little less mean than, I guess, what I hear other people experience. So yeah, those 2 things. And then in recent years, like my son's death was like an immediate, like I hadn't used hard drugs since 2008. And when he got shot and killed, I immediately, like that day, used hard drugs.
Did you? How long were you clean before that?
I quit using in 2007, and I had a relapse somewhere right in the middle of these years, but it was for like a week, and then I went to rehab for 6 months and didn't pick it back up. So I had a short, I think, slip somewhere between, but I got clean in 2007 and started using again in 2019 when Cameron died.
Do you have a message out there to people that are struggling right now, that are trying to get clean?
Everybody is where they are because, I don't know what people believe spiritually, but the universe has decided that that's where everybody should be. And even though we have some human responsibility to do the right thing, a lot of times we're just doing the best we can, even if it doesn't look like it. As parents, as citizens, as daughters and sisters, people really beat themselves up in this disease, and it perpetuates it because it creates shame, and shame is one of those holes that drugs fills. So you talked earlier about like how would I would you say redeem myself or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't need redemption. I'm just living the life within some that I can every day. I'm doing the best I can, and so are you, and so is everybody. Like, it's not about redemption, and as a matter of fact, I think it's dangerous to talk. Not for me, but to talk about redemption, because then you got a responsibility to stay redeemed. But really, this thing doesn't work like that. It ebbs and it flows, and you just got to be the least bad you can be every day while you're doing it. And if that matters to you at all, you're doing okay. You're doing okay. Don't beat yourself up. It's not going to fix your problem. Like beating yourself up, being ashamed, or shaming your loved one, or beating them up because of their drug and alcohol problem is the opposite of what will help them. Shame and guilt never helped any addict not use. It only made them use 100% of the time.
Speaking of, you said there was holes you're trying to fill. Are there feelings of emptiness that you're trying to feel by using drugs?
At this point, it's not feelings of emptiness that I'm trying to feel. It's just like there are big feelings that I don't want to feel, that I'm running from. And so I know a good way not to. And I know one day I have to. But I'm thankful that I've had something to hold those off for the past couple of years, because I still don't feel ready to deal with my son's death. I just don't. And that's exactly why I use drugs, because I don't have to.
If you got clean, let's say in a couple of weeks, and you wanted to go back to counseling, can you? Is your degree still?
So your degree never goes away. Like, that's your education, your knowledge, what's in your head. What you have to do is maintain a license or a certification. That means that some governing body is coming and saying he still remembers how to be a counselor, even though he went to college 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I could, based on my education, like I have the knowledge, but I would have to go through first of all, like I reported to the board when I relapsed, because you're supposed to. Really, it's just like when I started using drugs again, I told the substance abuse board because, well, they say to, and I just did it. But it's mainly because if I ever want to go back, then if you self-report, it's just better. Yes, I could be a counselor again, but I don't want to.
You don't want to?
No.
What was your dreams as a little girl?
I think I wanted to be a musician.
Did you?
Yeah.
What kind of music do you like?
I like all kinds of music. I played the cello, but I wanted to play every instrument. But I don't know that was my serious dream. I didn't know. My dreams were not about what job I was going to have. They were about like I guess I had crushes on boys, maybe. Mm-hmm. They were about relationships, though, and experiences. I'm like travel. My dreams weren't just like, oh, I'll be a fireman or a nurse. They were about, oh, I'm going to go to Mount Shasta or whatever, so it's a little different for me.
Can you
Garden,
describe Mount Shasta to me? Because I've never been there.
It's a volcano
Okay.
in Northern California, and it's unique because it deviates. So the mountains in a chain will only go so far away from their buddies, right? But Mount Shasta is probably, I think, twice as far from its chain as the mountain. So people say it's unique because of that. Like, they've always said, oh, it deviated farther from the chain than most. So, and it also has, so it's a volcano. It hasn't erupted in a very long time. It's huge and majestic. And it, another unique thing about it is the atmosphere there creates lenticular clouds, which are like kind of flat oval-shaped clouds, but they look like, I guess they come from the word like maybe lentil or similar in Latin to lentil. So that was a flat disc-shaped bean, but they look like UFOs kind of. So you hear people all the time say that the aliens are at Mount Shasta.
The what?
That the aliens are at Mount Shasta.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of like, they also say like the Fountain of Youth is there. Someone says that there's a civilization living inside the earth and that Mount Shasta is the opening for them to, there's a lot of, but anyway, the point is, new age spiritual kooky people love it there, and I love it there. And
I need to check that out. Did you do, one more question, did you go through NA or anything like that when you were clean?
So I did, I tried.
Yeah.
I don't like the 12-step program. I don't believe that I'm powerless. And I think that repeating that every day is horrible for me as a person or anybody as a person. Look, my friend Tracy Lee would be very proud of me, but I am powerful, you know, and I have, whatever problems I got, I have the power to fix them. I really do. We all do. So that's the big problem for me. If I believe that so strongly, I can't, that's like their main thing is that you have to say you're powerless, and I'm just not going to do that because I might as well lay down and die if I'm going to, I just can't do it. But, you know, what really helped me the most, I think, honestly, was like psychedelic mushrooms. Like, I think they helped me the most with like depression, anxiety, which for me was like the core to my drug use.
Do you use anything right now?
Yeah, I do. I use stimulants.
Okay.
Right now.
Is your goal to get off of drugs?
You know, I don't look at it with the same urgency I used to when I was on drugs, but at the same time, I'm not as bad off as I was. Like, back then, I would have never, I just didn't care if I had anything other than that drug, you know, and now I'm definitely able to put that off if I need something more important, you know, like if I don't have a place, I'm not going to buy drugs if I don't have a place to sleep, if I haven't eaten, or, so do I think that it would be ideal to be off of drugs? Yes. Do I think that I would have killed myself when my son died if I hadn't used drugs? Yes. We don't talk about that part. Like, I probably wouldn't have survived.
That's a good point, actually.
You know, like, well, people don't talk about it. You want to talk about people's drug use, but how many people would have killed themselves from pain if they didn't have something to alleviate it, you know? And that's why they call it self-medicating. So, no, it's not good to be on drugs, but it's also good to be not dead, you know? And
I've never... You think you would have been dead?
When my son died, I would see parents who had lost a child and their kid had been dead like 6 months or a year, and I would just think to myself, I don't know how they're still alive, because I was so sure that if I had to go 6 months with knowing that my son was dead, that I would die. I would die from it. I didn't think I could live with the information for that long. I thought it would just eat at me until I died. And that's still not totally sure that that doesn't happen. Maybe you just get used to it, you know.
Maybe you're stronger than you think, also.
Well, I don't want to be strong enough not to be crushed by him being gone. You know, I don't want to be tough about that. Because then what am I fighting against? The memory of my son? You know, I want the hurt to be the hurt, because it's, you know, I don't want to fight against his memory, even if it feels bad sometimes. I don't, that's something people don't understand. People are like, oh, you know, he would want you to be happy. And it's like, well, but I'm not happy. And the best way sometimes I think that I've honored him is by at least not trying to push the pain away from my life completely. Do I alleviate it? Yes. But am I going to sit and pretend and smile and act like it doesn't kill me every day? Because I know a lot of parents who lost children who do that, and it's so unhealthy. Like, and I could go on forever about this, but I read recently that mothers in particular who are grieving a dead child, their actual brain chemistry changes. The way they process emotions changes from the grief. Like, it changes your brain chemistry. It literally changes how you function emotionally. And I have to think that biology does that for a reason, you know? And so I just let whatever comes come. I don't try to hold on to it. But sometimes I do because it feels like it's all I've got left. But I do just let it come. So, because, yeah.
Thank you so much, Breezy, for this interview.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
God bless you, and have a great night.
Same to you.